Okay, everybody, it's time to go back and review another Disney Channel original movie, and this time we are tackling my personal favorite of them all, Brink. Or maybe it's Brink, since there's an exclamation point in the title. This came out in '98, and it is an inline skating movie. It is a rollerblading movie. We don't have too many of those, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. This stars Eric Von Detten, who you may recognize from The Princess Diaries and some other movies that he was in. This was the first one I ever seen him in. And I love this movie. It's so 90s. This movie is so hilariously late 90s. And it was one of the first...
What you could say Rocky IV was to the 80s...
Ooh.
This is to the 90s.
That's not a bad comparison, yeah. Yeah. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into this. So, the main character is Andy Brinker, who is known as Brink by his peers. Brink is an exceptionally happy teenager with the most 90s hair, and he is into inline skating. It is his passion. It is his life. And he has his crew, Peter, Gabriella, who's like the tomboy of the group, and Jordy. I don't know why Jordy's in the movie. He has almost no lines.
Well, they had to have 4 people.
Exactly. I guess they were like, well, we need more than 2 friends, because otherwise Brink will look like kind of a loser. So.
Yeah, well, it's okay that he didn't have that many lines, because he wasn't a very good actor.
He was easily the worst actor out of all of them, by far. And they call themselves soul skaters. Because if you dare do what you're good at for money, then you are an evil sellout with demons. No soul. That's right. And they have rivals. Their rival is Team X-Blades with a Z. A group of...
You mean with an X?
Yes, but the Blades part, at the end, it's a Z.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are evil sponsored skaters. Mm. And we'll get into this whole sponsored skater thing later. But they are led by Val, who is hilariously over the top, condescending.
Not as over the top as the Johnny Tsunami villain. Like, not as cartoonishly evil.
No, not quite.
But still hilarious.
He has hilarious...
He's such a Disney Channel villain.
Oh, he's great. And he and Brink look identical, so it's great. So... They're butting heads at the skate park because Team X-Blades wants to get their pictures taken by some magazine, but Brink and his friends want to skate in the pit. Well, the bad guys, Team X-Blades, they sneak in and steal the pit spot while they were gone because I guess this is first grade, and so it looks like Team X-Blades has bested Brink and the gang. So how do they get back at him? How do our mature heroes get back at him? Well, if you're Brink, you go up to a bunch of adult skateboarders and tell them, hey, those guys over there, that Team X-Blades, they were talking crap about you guys. And so that's what happens. So the adults go up to basically start a fight with a bunch of high school sponsored inline skaters. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Cut to the next day. It is the first day of school. Summer's over. And Brink, being on ecstasy, runs into the kitchen and goes, "What's up, fam?" To which the dad, who is by far the most likable and normal character, goes, "It's not normal. What kind of son is happy all the time?" And so they go...
Look at your sister.
That's right.
It's the first day of school and she's miserable.
And she's miserable.
That's how she's supposed to be.
Totally normal. So, Brink goes to school with his friends. Val gets revenge on Brink by stealing his buddy Peter's shoes and throwing them up, wrapped around a telephone wire, way up on a pole.
So then,
no, tell the principal.
Yeah,
but Val says, if you tell, you're a wuss. Well,
but it's weird. Brink gets revenge again later.
Oh, he does. But I'm thinking, tell and you're a wuss. Brink already did this. Brink went up to a bunch of older people and made up lies to get Val in trouble. So we've already determined that Brink is totally a wuss. So yeah, just tell the principal that, hey, this guy stole my friend's shoes and threw them up on a telephone wire. Well, they don't do that. Instead, Gabriella offers Peter her shoes because she has an extra pair with her. To which then Brink says, "Oh man, don't you guys see? We are truly soul skaters. There's nothing we can't do together." Soul skaters. I can't get over it. It's awesome. So, Brink, yes, as you said, Brink has a plan to get back at Val. How does he do this?
The most mature way possible.
That's right. He steals worms from his science class and sneaks them into Val's sandwich so Val can bite into worms. I will say this prank scene is well shot. It's like all done in like one shot. It's a fun little short prank scene. But again, you gotta like how our heroes are acting here.
Mm-hmm.
So Val is furious. So Val decides, this is what he says. Val goes up to Brink and goes, "You? Us? Right now out back." With the biggest eyes ever. And so they meet. When he says out back, he just means meet in this part of the school. And they decide, we're going to do a race. And this race will end our rivalry. And where are the teachers? It's like lunchtime. Where are the teachers? They are literally in school having a race. So we have a brief race. It's probably less than a minute, to be honest.
How do you steal worms from the science room
That's
without
true.
anyone noticing?
Oh, fun fact, the science teacher was played by the dad from Even Stevens.
And that was his only scene.
That's right. So we get a brief race. It lasts very short because one of the members of Team X-Blades gets injured in the race. He hits his leg really hard on a rail.
Or I think it was his hip or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. And this guy's name is Boomer. The only black guy in the whole film. Besides one guy at the end who has no lines. So Boomer gets injured. Brink, being the good guy he is, he does not continue the race. He decides to help Boomer, even though Boomer's on the opposing team. So Brink gets, of course they all get in trouble because this kid got injured, so the teachers finally decide to show up. And so, one quick thing too. When they start their race, there is a guy who's like probably in his 20s playing a 15-year-old that's in the silence going, "Fight, fight, fight, guys, check it out." And those were his lines. So everyone gets in trouble. It cuts to Brink being taken home by his dad. This is an amazing scene because, again, the dad is by far the most normal character in the whole film.
He was my favorite character.
And he's just like, "Yeah, I think it's a record. It's got to be a record. You're 4 hours into your first day of school and you get suspended. This has got to be a record." And so Brink says, "Dad, you got to listen to me, okay? First, Val and his goons started giving us beef. You know, he said, they started dissing us, all right? They're dissing me and my crew.
So we gave him beef right back.
So we gave him beef right back." To which he says, "Who are you? What have you done with my son? I mean, do they teach you English at this school? Oh, wait, look at who I'm asking. You haven't even been in school long enough to know." To which then he says, "Dad, you're not even listening." He says, "Sure I am. You got dissed? You ain't beef. Did I miss anything?" It's the best conversation in the entire film. And then their car breaks down, which now the plot actually starts to come in. So after Brink's dad's car breaks down, it's revealed that Brink's family is in a lot of debt. And Brink's dad is on disability right now, and he's not sure if he can get his job back. So there's a lot of money struggles going on in Brink's family. So the next day at school, Val tells Brink and the gang that Boomer is injured and he is not going to be able to compete at the inline skating tournament that's coming up. To which he then says, "So it looks like Team X-Blades is going to have one guy open." To which Brink's friends say, "Oh, as if any of us would ever want to be a part of that. We skate for fun. We're soul skaters."
Soul skaters.
And Val reminds them how, you know what's so great about being in Team X-Blades? You're in the best team there is. You get the best gear. Your face is on the picture of every inline skating magazine. There's got to be many of them, I'm sure, because it's such a popular sport, right? And he says, and you get paid a lot of money. And that is the moment that Brink starts to have a change of heart. So, going behind his friends' backs, he then decides to audition to join Team X-Blades, to join his rivals for the sole purpose, or at least so we think, the sole purpose of getting money to help his family out. So he kills the audition. Val does let him on the team, And he tells Val, you can't let Gabby and Peter and everyone know that I'm doing this. And Val, of course, being the snake he is, says, oh, sure, we won't tell them anything. But you need to show respect around me. So, now Brink starts to have troubles. And on top of everything else, his parents disapprove of him doing the sponsored skating thing. So
his dad does.
His dad does. So Brink does, not only is he doing Team X-Blade behind his friends' backs, but now he's doing it behind his dad's. Oh, and here's the great part. So Val talks about how being a sponsored inline skater, you make a lot of money. Guess how much money a high schooler makes being sponsored for inline skating?
In the late 90s.
In the late 90s. $200 a week.
Plus another $200 if you win.
If you win tournaments. What? When was inline skating ever this hot?
Literally, the late 90s is when it was the hottest it ever was.
And it was never that hot.
And it was still not that.
I mean, I know expert.
Even in California.
Yes. I know expert, but skateboarding had to have been way hotter.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because, was Tony Hawk still kind of at his peak at that point?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk was the big thing.
Yeah, of course. So, no way. $200 a week to be sponsored as an inline skater.
And Jimmy, the guy who's like the
guy that's running X-Blades, yeah.
Comments to him, yeah, last week I moved $10 million worth of merchandise.
All because of Team X-Blades.
$10 million of merchandise.
Yeah.
No.
This is apparently the hottest sport in America right now. So, Brink becomes flustered with work, going behind his friend's back. This goes on for a while. Brink is clearly outworked. And then comes the invitationals to the tournament, where Brink must compete for Team X-Blades. And despite his attempts to hide it from his friends, Gabriella, Peter, and then, Jordy, they find out that their friend Brink has gone behind their backs and sold out to Team X-Blade.
Even though he was wearing the awesome shades.
He was wearing those Steven Seagal shades, and they didn't do him any good. He should have worn the trench coat as well. And so, now his friends hate him, and all he has left is Team X-Blades, which is not fun, because Val, even though Jimmy is the manager, Val is the one that's really coaching them, and Val, of course, is a sadistic jerk, and he's treating Brink like crap. So, Brink desperately wants his friends back, but he can't have them. So, we move on. Training for the tournament coming up. Brink and Team X-Blades decide to practice they decide to practice on a hill, on a very steep hill. And it turns out that Brink's old friends, led by Gabriella, want to practice there too. So they decide, tell you what, let's have a race. Brink versus Gabriella. Whoever wins, their group gets to stay and practice here. Brink, of course, does not want to race against his old best friend, but he has no choice. So, as Brink and Gabriella are racing downhill, Val, being the great heel he is, goes ahead of them, grabs some gravel, and throws it on the road. And lo and behold, Gabriella trips on the gravel and falls really hard and injures her arm. And it's at that point that Brink realizes what Val did, but no one else knows. So, as you pointed out to me, Brink's friends, who already resented him, now resent him even more, blaming him for Gabriella's injury. Brink was never really given the chance to explain why he went to Team X-Blades in the first place.
Yeah, he never really just sat them down and said, hey, guys, I'm doing this for my family.
He doesn't want to do it. Or at least, in the beginning, it seems like he doesn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. He wants to be honest with his friends. He's just put in a hard spot, but they're just like, how dare you do something that you're good at and make money for it? You are such a scumbag. So, Brink does go to apologize to Gabriella. Gabriella doesn't really seem to resent him as much, but she doesn't really entirely forgive him. And so Brink is now very depressed, and then he has a talk with his dad. This is actually, I think, a really good scene. It's the main emotional scene of the film, and he confesses to his dad about how he went behind his back to do Team X-Blades because they needed the money, to which his dad said, look, the money situation is bad, but it's not that bad. To which then Brink confesses the real truth, which was, I guess it wasn't just for the money. I also did it because I wanted to be somebody, and being part of Team X-Blades would make me somebody. To which then the dad goes into this monologue about how he understands where Brink's coming from, because when he wasn't on disability and he was a construction foreman, he had great pride in that, and that's who he was. He defined himself by his job, but after getting injured, he could no longer define himself based on his job, and he realized that you are defined by the characteristics of who you are and who you're with, not by what you do. And so he tells Brink, you are a great son and a great friend and a great person, and that is regardless of whether or not you skate. This is a very common message, and it's been put in a lot of stories before. I think this movie actually did a really good job telling it, though.
I mean, it's a Disney Channel movie, so it's a very Disney Channel message. And I mean, I also appreciated how, that all the people that skate in this movie all have helmets and knee pads, and elbow pads and everything like that. And it's like, well, it's Disney Channel, so they got to, you can't have all these people skating around without helmets and stuff.
Well, and on a side note too, I think for the most part the actual skating in the film is pretty good. It's pretty obvious when it's stunt doubles, but I still think it was smoothly edited together. It's not too painfully obvious. The doubles look pretty good, it's pretty smooth.
Because it's obvious when they have the stunt doubles, but they also, put in a lot of scenes with the actual actors doing some skating, and so it makes it a little bit more believable.
They'll do this, like, Gabriella's stunt double will do this trick, goes off camera, but then within 2 seconds, the actual actress playing Gabriella will come into frame, so it doesn't look like it was that bad. Like, it actually looks somewhat smooth, And to go back to the emotional scene, I mean, it only took basically 2 scenes to get this all back-to-back to get this smoothed out. How many of those emotional talking scenes were in Johnny Tsunami?
Like 10.
Like 5 back-to-back? It was like, oh my gosh, enough!
There is like one more emotional talk scene, but it doesn't even go on that for that long. And it just kind of establishes what they've already, talked about. And Johnny Tsunami, it's like they keep bringing up new stuff, and it's like, we get it. Jeez.
So Brink decides it's time to finally make everything right, at least the best he can, and just be himself again. So he confronts Val and his goons. He throws his X-Blade rollerblades onto their pizza. That wasn't nice. And then says, here's your helmet. Oh, and I would give you the shirt too, except I threw it away at the nearest garbage. Georgia thought, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
You need to pay for that, though.
Yeah, you're going to be paying for that.
You're totally paying for that. To which then he says, you were the one that threw the gravel on the road. Do you realize you could have killed Gabriella? To which Val says, man, you are such a wuss. You didn't even have the brains to finish the race. To which Brink says, maybe not, but I do have the brains to finish this. And he grabs a chocolate shake and chucks it right into Val's face. And to which Val says, you are so dead! And he's about to beat up Brink. By the way, Val looked like he could have totally beat up Brink.
Oh, yeah.
And, but right before he can start beating up Brink, Boomer comes back into the film. He just decided, I'm going to show back up in the film.
Well, he was sitting at the table.
Yeah, and he gets in between them. And he says, no, Val, no, not like this. To which Val says to Boomer, well, I didn't think you were going to turn on me. To which Boomer says, that's your problem, man. You don't think. To which Brink then says, no, that's not your problem. Now, Val, I know this has been kind of one of our faster Disney Channel reviews. Val, throughout this entire film, has been just, I mean, again, not as bad as Johnny Tsunami bad guy, but he has just been such a blatant bully throughout the film. His friends know it. Everyone has to know this. Like, he's cocky. He apparently doesn't go to class. He just bothers Brink and everyone while they're in class. He is just a jerk. And also, like, he's this great skater, but he lets it get to his head. But Brink here, he's got Val figured out. And he's going to point out the biggest flaw in the life that is Val. Brink says, and I quote, no, that's not your biggest problem. You know what your biggest problem is, Val? you're just not fun to skate with. Ouch.
Ow.
Yeah, he got it right on the head.
Yep.
That was some, like, therapy stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brink then apologizes. Brink decides, I gotta win back my old friends. I gotta win back Peter, Jordy, and Gabriella. How do I do that? I'm gonna buy them stuff. So he buys them new gear, and basically he is their sponsor. Because he says, have you guys considered getting a sponsor? To which Peter says, sponsors are no fun. Okay, I know that Team X-Blades is bad because it's run by Val, and Val's a jerk. What is so bad with being sponsored in general?
What are the stigmas with sponsors? It's like, oh, how dare you be paid for doing what you love? Like,
how is that
so
selling out?
stupid.
Like, they're like, oh, he's a sellout. Here's the thing. To me, when I hear that some kind of artist or somebody in entertainment sells out,
selling out is like changing what you do for the money.
Yes, it's weakening what you're doing and weakening your character for the sake of money. You know, this music does not sound nearly as good as my old, and it's not ambitious at all. But you know what? There's a good chance that more people will buy it, so I'm going to do it because I don't care about the music. I just want to. That's selling out. What is, if you're not doing anything bad, what is so wrong about advertising a sponsor?
Or even doing anything different. I mean, it's not like you have to change what you're doing to do it. You just have to do the exact same thing that you're doing, just wearing a shirt.
It's not like Jimmy from X-Blades is saying, all right, Brink, when you go out there, you can't do your 540 spins anymore. He's just saying, no, do the best you can. In fact, be the best skater you can be.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's just getting a spot. And I brought this up. It's the same thing in the movie, like, Twister. Like, the same thing up. It's like, oh, well, you know, we don't want all that money and good equipment and good vehicles and stuff like they do because they're sponsored. They don't have the heart.
They're in it. They're not in it for the science. What? They're in it for the money.
What? That makes no sense. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, what a bunch of dorks. So, but nevertheless, this wins over Brink's friends. Brink and the Soul Skaters are finally back together. And now we get our third act, which is nothing but roller skating. Not roller, but inline skating. It is... I mean, there's been a lot of skating already at the moment, but this third act is just skating, mixed with some very unfitting music, I might add. But yeah, we see some back and forth, yada, 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 yada. And of course, it boils down to Brink's team and Team X-Blade. And the final round, Brink and Val must do a race one-on-one to win the championship. And so, the climax is their race. It's not that long, but it's a fun little race. Brink, of course, throughout most of the race he's in the lead. But then, of course, Val tries cheating by literally punching him while they're racing. And in the process, Val also fakes an injury and to get Brink behind. Val takes the lead. And so how does Brink catch up? By going off course and taking a shortcut, blatantly, I might add.
Blatantly taking a shortcut and cheating.
Yes, so you know, Brink did cheat, but then again, Val did assault him, so you could say it's 50-50, so we won't worry about that.
We can just say they're both terrible.
That's right, they both suck. So, Brink, of course, wins the race, and
Val just kind of fades out of the
Val
film.
literally just walks away, and on the shot where he's walking away, they must have told all the extras in the crowd, boo at him and poke at him and point at him and laugh. Because everyone just around Val just, boo! And so...
Disney Channel extras.
That's right. And so here's the great part. Val's friends, who are also part of Team X-Blade, realizing that Val assaulted Brink while they were racing and cheated, go up to Brink and go, hey man, I'm really sorry. I never would have thought that Val would do something like that. Really?
Where have you been?
You have been next to this guy, encouraging his bowling and participating in his bowling throughout the whole film. And it really didn't create... You know what? This Val guy, he may not be a very nice guy.
He's kind of a jerk.
And so, to which Brink, being the good guy, just, it's okay, man. You guys didn't know. And so Jimmy goes up to Brink and goes, Brink, Andy, dude, let me tell you something, Val, he's done. He's fired. He's history. You are the future of inline skating, man. I want to make you in charge of Team X-Blade. To which Brink then says, I was in Team X-Blades already. It wasn't any fun. No. To which everyone goes, yeah! And I'm thinking, the only reason Team X-Blades wasn't fun was because Val was in charge.
Yeah.
You get rid of him, Team X-Blades would probably be pretty awesome.
They have their own private skate park.
Yeah, what more do you want?
What's wrong with that?
So Brink will have a nice future doing nothing but inline skating and not making any money off of it. That'll work out well for him.
Yep.
And that was Brink, everybody. What'd you think?
Well, it was late 90s Disney Channel at its best.
That's right. If you want some fun 90s nostalgia, definitely check this one out.